We head to Bahrain for round 2 of the 2023 season, and it's a poor start to the weekend for Ferrari after confirming a 5-place grid penalty will be applied to round 1 race winner Charles Leclerc after a faulty component was found in the Monegasque's power unit. The McLarens have shown some impressive pace heading into Bahrain after bringing upgrades to the second round of the season and are looking to potentially challenge the top teams this weekend. And another team bringing upgrades this weekend are Toyota. After scoring points on their return to the grid, they hope to carry momentum forwards into Bahrain and challenge further up the grid in their pursuit to glory in Formula 1.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Russell, Norris, Kobayashi, Fernando Alonso, Benjamin, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Ocon, Leclerc, Stroll, Bottas, Magnussen, Albon, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Sargent, and Zhou Guanyu. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the Toyota Road to Glory career mode here on F1 23 for the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you didn't see the first episode of the series opener in Australia, the last round, be sure to go check that one out before this one, just get a bit more context on what exactly this series is. And who our teammate is and everything that's sort of going on in this career mode. But yeah, it was an alright qualifying session for us here. We, once again, were out-qualified by Kobayashi, but we are a bit further up the grid with the upgrades that Toyota have brought to this second round of the season. So hopefully we can challenge for some more points after getting those that great point scoring finish in the first round. Hopefully Kobayashi can get some points as well. And yeah, just slowly move ourselves further up the grid as the weekend goes along. But we are on the formation lap at the moment and slowly coming into our grid spots once again. Can we get this right? Hopefully. It seemed to work well for us. A good omen we had after getting it right in Australia, and we do get it once again here in Bahrain. So hopefully another good race to come. Can we get another good launch as well, though? You can see Alonso on the softs, a lot of others on the mediums. It certainly seems to be a bit of a split between the softs and mediums, a bit more leaning towards starting on the medium compound tyre. But either way, we are on to the 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We were held for quite a while there, but we are eventually underway. We once again get the jump on Kobayashi, so our teammate doesn't seem to have the race starts just quite down yet. But as we head into turn 1, we're all going to bunch up very much here through the first tight corner, and Kobayashi tries to hang it around our outside. In the end, we do get the position above our teammates, and we're into P8, Kobayashi into P9, but can we gain some more positions as we head down towards turn 4? We're ahead of Alonso. Kobayashi also going to send it on the 2-time world champion. He's back down our inside here through turn 4, but we do go around our teammates outside into P7, our teammate into P8, and so it is a very good start for both of us here in the Toyotas. You couldn't have really asked for a whole lot better. Both of us have avoided damage. We've both gained a position or two, and yeah, that is a good start to this Grand Prix. We are now in behind Lando Norris as we head towards the end of the first lap. Now you can see the guys ahead starting to pull away a bit, and Kobayashi is actually going to pull alongside us here, and so I'm not going to fight him. You can see using a bit of battery here just to make sure we don't lose too much time to Alonso behind, but I'm going to brake early and just let our teammate in ahead and see if he potentially has a bit more pace than us in the early stage of this race, see if he can maybe close in on Lando Norris to try and get that P6. So at the moment, just sort of cruising along. There's not a whole lot of craziness happening at the beginning of this race. Alonso is within DRS range still for when that does get enabled, but not quite close enough to really be going at us and attacking us. As actually Charles Leclerc, who had that grid penalty, remember, from after changing an engine unit very early on in the season. He's coming back now. He's in the top 10. He's going to try and overtake Fernando Alonso here down the main straight, heading on to lap number 3. No DRS just yet, but it has been enabled as we enter lap 3, as they go side by side, Ferrari versus Aston Martin into turn 1. The Ferrari and Mercedes power units seem to be pretty close just by looking at that, as Alonso actually still holds it. He's on the softs and Leclerc on the mediums, but the Ferrari just has a bit more pace, and so he does get himself ahead into P9 now. The race winner, championship leader, heading into round 2 here. Looking to try and just do a bit of damage limitation this round, I guess. But you can see here onto lap number 4 now, Kobayashi hasn't been able to close in on Norris. He's actually just fallen outside of DRS range, so we do fly past our teammate here. We retake the position that we gave him just a couple laps earlier, and now it's our turn to see if we can catch Norris. Meanwhile, the Ferrari and Aston once again find themselves battling it out for 9th and 10th, and once again side by side into turn 4 this time. So this battle's lasted a little bit longer than it did a lap ago. They were sorted out by this point last time. But not quite this time, as Piastri also looking to try and get a position off of one of these guys, maybe if there's a mistake, but there isn't, and Alonso gets himself up now into P9, so a bit of scrapping going on there has allowed us to sort of get a bit of breathing room, and so a massive snap from me, actually, at the end of lap 4 here, so we have to take to the runoff area there, and luckily, we do save the car, but that has given us a horrible run down into the final corner. And so Kobayashi again comes back at us, but he has a massive slide through the last corner, and then I've also had a slide on the exit, so it looks like the rear of these cars, these Toyotas, still just not quite there, so maybe that's an area that Toyota has to work on in future upgrades, just sort of trying to stabilize the rear of these cars. They certainly seem to have some nice pace, not front-running pace, but decent pace, but yeah, just looks a little bit unstable at the moment for both myself and our teammate, as Leclerc gets himself back ahead of Fernando Alonso, so hopefully those guys keep battling, and that will allow us to just keep in some clean air, look after our tyres. Hopefully, Kobayashi and myself don't battle too much and destroy our own races. But here is Logan Sargent in the Williams now, retiring with an engine failure. So Mercedes power unit goes bang here on lap number 6 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And once again, though, Kobayashi coming back at us. So already here in round 2 of the season, it looks like there could be a bit of drama between the two Toyota teammates, as he has another rear end wobble there through turn 4. So we actually get a nice cutback on him in there. He had a horrible exit. And so we're back into P7, but all of that's allowed Leclerc and Alonso now to get onto the back of this train. As we head down into the last corner, Kobayashi again comes at us, so we can't seem to just sort of agree on who should be the front driver here in this race. I certainly want it to be me, because I feel like I've got a bit more pace over him, but Kobayashi trying to show me who's boss, I guess. He is sort of the team leader in this first season, as Leclerc just completely cleans up the both of us down the main straight there. I'm going to keep it alongside the Ferrari around the outside of turn 1, inside of turn 2. However, he does get the move ahead of us. I'm going to try and sort of switch back on him here. We've got the DRS to potentially come back. Kobayashi, meanwhile, has been overtaken by Alonso and is now under attack by Oscar Piastri. He's actually fallen outside of the top 10 now because of that, and we still find ourselves alongside Charles Leclerc. However, the Ferrari does eventually pull ahead, and so we're now back into P8. Kobayashi was luckily able to get the position back on Oscar Piastri to get himself into the points, into the top 10 there in 10th place. However, we are in a big train now, and as I said, these cars seem to be a decent pace, but a bit unstable, and because of that, the tyres are wearing out quite quickly. So now, myself and Kobayashi are both struggling for a bit of pace here. On lap number 10, you can see we've got Fernando Alonso all over the back of us. He actually goes for a massive send around the outside. That hasn't worked for him. He's very lucky he didn't actually sort of get stuck riding that outside curb, because as we've seen before, that can very much ruin your race. It can just send you straight off the end of the corner, and you can lose quite a few positions. He does hold on to the spot ahead of our teammate, though, so Kobayashi's still sitting in P10, but he is all over the back of the Aston Martin right now. Piastri also in behind our teammate, so this is a bit of a three-way fight because of that mistake from Alonso. We've got a little bit of breathing room. We're still not outside of the DRS range, but yeah, we're not under immediate attack at the moment. However, someone under immediate attack is our teammate, as Piastri tries to go around his outside of the last corner now. The outside does give you the better exit here, but is Kobayashi maybe able to hold on? It doesn't quite look like it. The McLaren is ahead of Kobayashi, but however, he is you can just see that he actually just tucked into the slipstream for a second, and now he's going to come back alongside the McLaren. Meanwhile, Alonso is coming up alongside us here, as we don't have any DRS because Leclerc has just pulled away but that Ferrari is very quick at the moment. So we're going to try and argue the point here with the Aston Martin. We're going to try and do exactly what we did with Leclerc here, and hopefully because it's an Aston Martin, we can hold the position this time as we go down the inside of turn 4, and we do hold the spot into P8 for now. Meanwhile, Kobayashi wasn't quite able to get the position off of Oscar Piastri, so hopefully our teammate can sort of make a bit of a comeback there and get ahead of the McLaren back into the points. Because it would be nice to see Kobayashi get some points in this season, especially in this round, while it seems to be possible for him. We're going to try and hang it around the outside of Fernando Alonso here, so side by side with the Aston Martin, heading into the second sector. We're around the outside of the first part of the S's, and we do keep ahead of the two-time world champion for now. You can see Kobayashi just in behind as well, so we've got a bit of a four-way battle here for 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. As Alonso into the pit lane now at the end of lap 12 on the 13. George Russell also in, same too with the race leader Max Verstappen. He had a massive lead, and you can say it's probably down to maybe starting on the softer compound tyres, as that was all soft compound tyre runners pitting. Meanwhile, all of us on the mediums are continuing on. We now find ourselves under attack from Oscar Piastri in the McLaren as we head down into turn 4. Can we hang it around the outside of our fellow Aussie? He just beat us out last time at our home Grand Prix, and it looks like he's just got the better of us here, this time out in Bahrain as well, so far at least, on lap number 14. But we can maybe come back at him again if we just hold on here and see if we can maybe get some DRS a little bit later on this lap. We're just in a couple of corners time, there is a DRS straight. And we have seen that it is quite possible to stay close to the cars ahead throughout the last sector as well and potentially go for a move in the last corner. Although, we don't even need to wait for that because Piastri makes a mistake all on his own. He rode on that outside curb, just like we said Alonso was lucky not to do just a few laps ago, and that he's just pretty much handed the position to us. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, the effective race leader once everyone's done their pit stop, is now coming past Kobayashi here. So that goes to show how much quicker those top guys are. The fact that he's done a pit stop and he's already caught up to us here. So we're going to come into the pit lane now on the end of lap 14 for our pit stop. Meanwhile, Kobayashi actually going to keep going alongside Max Verstappen here, and he's going to actually keep the place over the Red Bull. So it looks like the engine in the back of this Toyota, we're running the Renault engine in this first season. But it's looking quite good in terms of straight line speed to have been able to pull that move off against Verstappen. And yeah, he's held position so far, not really for anything. I don't know why he battled it as hard as he did, because Verstappen's obviously going to get past at some point, and they're not even in the same race, really. But either way, it's at least encouraging to see the straight line speed capabilities of this car is up there with the front guys. Unfortunately, we just get jumped by Lance Stroll there as we exit the pit lane into turn 1. And we've got Kevin Magnussen all over the back of us as well. We are on the hard compound tyre. Alonso and Stroll are on the mediums. Alonso is 7.2 seconds ahead of us. That goes to show how strong the undercut is around here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Meanwhile, now looking up to the lead. The leaders are all together. They're going 3 wide. Verstappen versus Hamilton versus Sainz into turn 1. Verstappen's been jumped by Hamilton and Sainz here, who go side by side through turn 1 now for the lead of the race. And Hamilton in the Mercedes takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz just tucked in behind. Verstappen will also be looking to potentially retake the lead here as they head into turn 4. The Ferrari to the inside at turn 4 of the Mercedes. Verstappen just in, lurking behind there. Does Sainz get the position over the 7-time world champion? They'll go side by side into the second sector. They're going to keep it there side by side. Sainz just gets a nose ahead, but Hamilton gets it back throughout the left-hander. But Sainz, in the end, does hold position over Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen, P3. And then Sergio Perez, the other Red Bull, actually just in behind his teammate there in P4. So it's very close between these guys. George Russell in the Mercedes in 5th as well, actually. And Lando Norris even holding on in P6 in the McLaren. So it's a 6-way battle for the lead at the moment. All these guys have done their pit stops. They're all going to the end. By this point of the race, everyone has done their pit stops, and so it's just very nice to see those 6 cars all very close together. Leclerc's gotten himself up into P7 as well. He's trying to chase down that lead pack, so it'll be interesting to see if he can do that. And then it's ourselves in P10. Unfortunately, we've just lost a couple of positions to the 2 Aston Martins there. Kobayashi's had a horrible run there because he went so long. He's down in P14, so he's got a lot of work to do. Meanwhile, Verstappen now finds himself under attack by his teammate, Sergio Perez, to the inside of the last corner there on lap 16. The 2 Red Bulls will go side by side down towards turn 1 here, heading on to lap number 17. George Russell, the Mercedes, also a part of this. Lando Norris and the McLaren, also a part of this. They almost go 2 by 2 there into the first corner. Meanwhile, up in the lead, Hamilton is re-attacking Sainz for the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. His Sainz just gets his nose ahead, though. Meanwhile, Verstappen finds himself under attack by George Russell in the Mercedes, who does get the position over him and Norris has actually got a move on Sergio Perez. Meanwhile, back to the front again, too much battling happening. Hamilton has again tried the move on Carlos Sainz, but not quite able to happen, so it's all kicking off. At this stage of the Grand Prix, Russell has moved himself up into third place at the moment. Verstappen in P4, Norris is moving himself up into the top 5, and Perez ends up being the biggest loser out of that after being the one to initiate that whole battle pretty much. He ends up going down from what was trying to be a third down to a P6, and so that just goes to show how quickly things can change in a race. Now Lando Norris going for a move on Max Verstappen. Does Verstappen have another car issue? In round 1, he was looking to win the Grand Prix and then had a car issue that slowed him right down, and he fell right down into the mid parts of the top 10, and it looks to be potentially the case again as Lando Norris in the McLaren comes up alongside him and does get the position on him. Sergio Perez is also trying to get the move done. Meanwhile, up again for the lead, Hamilton trying to go for a move on Carlos Sainz, not quite able to get it done, but you can see that Norris and Perez have gotten a move done on Max Verstappen, who now drops down to P6. Meanwhile, Hamilton to the inside of turn 4 of Carlos Sainz. Sainz hangs it around the outside of the corner, gets the better exit, and does hold position over the Mercedes. But yeah, Verstappen has to have some sort of issue, just like he did in round 1. So I doubt he'll be too happy, the reigning world champion, who's looking to get his third world championship, in this 2023 season. And yeah, he just seems to be falling down the field. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri, who was just behind us with an engine failure. Now, so that's the second Mercedes engine in this race to go bang. The first one was Logan Sargent on lap 6. Now it's Oscar Piastri in the McLaren on lap 18, and so I gotta say, if you've got a Mercedes engine in this race, you're probably gonna start sweating a little bit, and if you're gonna get to the end, there's still 11 laps to go, and on board here with Lance Stroll, who is just ahead of us. We've closed in on him here, we've got DRS, so we're gonna try and fly past here, around the outside of turn 1. Stroll puts a battle up against it though. He's gonna try and hold position over us, as you would expect on those medium compound tires, but we go around the outside of turn 1 very easily. We scoop into P9, so that's a couple points to our name now at the moment, as we do hold a position over the Aston Martin. He's not quite able to come back at us into turn 4, but now looking back at Kobayashi, who's closed in on Alex Albon. He's also going to make a move. This was at the same time that we made the move on Lance Stroll. You can see just up ahead. And Kobayashi does get the move done on the Williams into P12, and he's just got Magnussen up ahead in P11. So Kobayashi's still on for potentially getting points if he has the pace to close in Magnussen and Lance Stroll. Meanwhile, back with Charles Leclerc, he's closing on Verstappen. So Verstappen 100% has an issue. He's dropped nearly 4 seconds to his teammate after leading the Grand Prix. The exact same scenario as in Australia. He was leading the way, looking set to win the race, and another car issue has completely thrown him out of this race. He's now down to P7 as we go on board with our teammate Kamui Kobayashi, who has closed into the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. He actually flies past the American outfit car there into P11 for now. And it's a 3.5 second gap to close in to Lance Stroll if he wants to get some points, his first points of the season here. And hopefully he has the pace for it. It'd be really nice to see our teammates score some points, as I said a little bit earlier on, as we cut now to lap 23. There's just battles going on throughout the entire field here, as Gasly now closes in on Magnussen and goes down the inside of turn 1 in the Alpine there to get himself into P12. Also in the Alpine, Esteban Ocon a bit further back going for a move on Alex Albon, and also Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo going for a move on Nico Hülkenberg in the Haas. So all throughout the field, there is no shortage of battles, which is really cool to see, even in places down like 16th and 17th there with Bottas and Hülkenberg. They are racing hard for position, which is, yeah, we just love to see that sort of stuff in Formula 1. Meanwhile, going back towards the front now, the end of lap 24, Lando Norris in the McLaren, making a move on George Russell to try and get himself onto the final podium position in this race, which would be awesome to see a McLaren getting a podium this early on into the season, just in round 2. He missed out last time in Australia, but this time, though, he is contending. He seems to have some great pace in this round. McLaren did bring some upgrades to this race, and it seems to be working beautifully for Lando Norris. Unfortunately, Oscar didn't really get to test him because he sort of got stuck battling, and then his engine blew up on him. But George holds on to P3 at the moment, but Lando, I'm sure, will come back at him as soon as he has the opportunity to. He does have to be careful of Sergio Perez in the Red Bull, though, who will be eager to get himself some good points as well. Meanwhile, now back on board with Carlos Sainz, heading on to lap 26, so 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix. The Ferrari is going to close in on the Mercedes with the help of DRS and deploying battery. Hamilton goes defensive into turn 1. So Sainz goes to the outside. He could have gone even more to the inside, but he's opted for the outside line, which gives you the better exit out of the first corner. He'll have the inside for the second. Hamilton will have the inside for the third, though, so they're equal as they head onto the run down to turn 4. Neither of them opening DRS, actually, which is interesting to see. So I'm not too sure what the deal is there, but Sainz around the outside of turn 4. Hamilton will have the inside, but Sainz holds it there, and so they'll head into the S's, and Hamilton has to tuck him behind, so Sainz gets the move done into the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix once again. Meanwhile, this was at the same time. Lando Norris coming back at George Russell once again. Same sort of situation. Russell goes defensive. Norris to the outside there of turn 1. Is he going to be able to get himself up onto the podium finally here inside of turn 2? Russell has to back out a little bit, does he? Yes, he does. Lando gets himself up into third. Sergio Perez now going to attack Russell. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 4. Is there going to be any contact? Just about no. Then Norris gets his nose ahead, so he gets himself... Actually, no, he doesn't. I was about to say he gets himself in the third, but Sergio Perez now gets himself up alongside the McLaren, but Norris does eventually keep it ahead. Up in P3, Perez gets himself up in a P4. Russell drops from 3rd to 5th there in half a lap. Meanwhile now, Hamilton coming back at Carlos Sainz here just a couple laps later on to lap 28, so 2 laps remaining now in the Bahrain Grand Prix, and this battle is as alive as ever. Hamilton gets the move done before the end of the straight. Meanwhile, further back, Charles Leclerc has closed up to this battle, and we saw he got himself ahead of Verstappen. He's now getting himself ahead of George Russell, so Russell's dropped from 3rd down to 6th in just the battle, in just a handful of laps there, so I'm sure he'll be a bit disappointed at that. Verstappen has got himself onto this battle though as well, so it looks like Red Bull have fixed whatever issue that he has had in that car. Exact same scenario as Australia where he was slow, and then towards the end of the race they fixed whatever that was, and so now it's sort of a recovery drive here for the 2-time world champion as he follows Charles Leclerc through on George Russell into P6, so Russell from 3rd down to 7th in just a few laps there. Again, I don't think he's going to be too happy about that, but as we head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, Sergio Perez looking to take away Lando Norris's podium opportunity there in the Red Bull as he flies through into P3. Not even really a contest. He was well ahead before they even got to the braking zone. So Lando's going to have to pull out something special if he wants to get himself back onto the podium here. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll's coming back at us as well as we head into turn 4 on the final lap. He's going to go around our outside at turn 4. He's actually going to keep it there, so we had some real poor traction there because we were on the inside line. So the Aston tries to get it ahead. Meanwhile, we're going to hang it around the outside of the second part of the S's. Kirby actually in the background almost runs it off the end of the track there. He was carrying so much speed. And so we've got a bit of a 3-way battle, but it's another massive rear end loss for us. So this car really struggling on the rear tyres and just with the rear downforce in general. Stroll to the outside. He almost does the same mistake Piastri made, but he's not quite as bad. He has given us a little bit of an opportunity there, a bit of a breather, as Kobayashi gets himself alongside the Aston as well now. So can we get a double points opportunity here for the both of us? We've got half a lap to go in this Bahrain Grand Prix. You can see in the top right, Lewis Hamilton will cross the line to win the Bahrain Grand Prix, so he gets a win there in the Mercedes just ahead of Carlos Sainz. Kobayashi, unfortunately, not quite able to hold the position over the Aston Martin. However, as we run down to the final corner, he's back all over the back of us there as I'm just trying to tame the rear of this car at the end of this race. And by the looks of it, we're going to go 3 wide into the final corner. Stroll versus myself versus Kobayashi. I back out of it on the brake. Stroll jumps the inside curb, hits Kobayashi, has a horrible run. Kobayashi is going to get P9. We sneak our way around the outside of the Aston Martin to get P10, so it is double points for us here in Toyota. What a crazy finish to the Bahrain Grand Prix.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in. That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So here we are with the results for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton takes his first win of the season after an awesome battle with Carlos Sainz in that entire second stint. Sergio Perez steals third place, the final podium position away from Lando Norris on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Lando finishing in P4. Leclerc with an awesome recovery drive from P13 to get himself into P5. Verstappen, after that engine issue, I'm assuming it was, that the team was eventually able to fix, falling from first all the way down to 7th, manages to finish in P6 with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, getting himself that extra point. Russell finishes 7th, Alonso 8th, and then it's Kamui Kobayashi and myself in 9th and 10th to round out the points. Double points for Toyota in our second round, returning to Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc actually equally lead the drivers' standings on 35 points apiece. Hamilton is number 1 spot though, because he got the most recent race win. Carlos Sainz sits in 3rd at the moment, just 5 points off of his teammate, and Verstappen sits P4. For myself, I sit in P9 at the moment on 5 points, 30 points off of the championship lead. We're not really going for the championship this season, though, as you would expect. In Toyota's returning season, we're obviously not a front runner, but we are trying our best to close into those front guys. And Kamui scores his first points of the season, 2 points there by finishing in P9. He sits P12 in the championship, and so hopefully we can both continue our point scoring run and helping out ourselves in the driver's standings, but also Toyota in the constructors. Ferrari leads the way there in the constructors championship by 6 points over Mercedes, and Red Bull sit 3rd, McLaren 4th, and then it's ourselves in Panasonic Toyota F1 sitting in 5th at the moment on 7 points, 1 point ahead of Aston Martin, who are in 6th, and Alpine at the moment is the final point scoring team so far in the constructors on 1 point in 7th place in the constructors, and then Haas, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo are yet to score points, but we're only 2 rounds in, 8 rounds to go still in this championship, so still a good chunk of the season to go for everyone to score points and for every position to really change. You know, who knows where this could end up. Hopefully towards the end of the season, we are, you know, almost a front-running team, at least challenging for podiums and potentially even wins. That would be really awesome, and a good way to launch ourselves into the second season if we're able to get there. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this in the future, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.